Happy Monday, everybody, and welcome to another LinkedIn Live Monday. Um, Before we go into it, just a quick reminder if you want to watch this interview or past interviews, instead of scrolling through my news feed, you can just go to YouTube, search for Fail Coach. You'll see the channel, and then you have a nice little playlist from like last 2 years of interviews or something since we started streaming to YouTube. But not to go into too much rambling, we have an amazing guest today. Ken, welcome to the show. It's a huge pleasure to have you here with me. And if I can ask you for a little favor, would you mind introducing yourself to the audience?
Yeah, would be happy to. And thanks for having me here. I definitely hope to bring some value to those that are listening or watching, whatever time that might be. But my name is Ken Hannaman, and I am an executive leader in the restaurant business responsible for around 700 or so restaurants right now with Arby's Restaurant Group. So that is my corporate responsibilities. And I've been in the restaurant business my entire life, my entire working adult life, at least. And over the last few years, I've been branching out into some entrepreneurial goals. Wrote a book called Ungraduated, Finding Your Why and Dropping Out of Outdated Belief Systems, which has been a big part of my life. The deprogramming of old, outdated belief systems, which I believe really shackle us and hold us down. And I'm sure we'll talk a lot more about that. But the book just recently came out, and I'm just big in the mindset space. So in the entrepreneurial ventures that I'm starting, I am a mindset coach and have been using those practices a lot in my business for the better part of the 20 plus years that I've been in business, trying to help people grow, learn, develop, and become their best selves possible. So I'm excited to be here today to talk about those things.
Perfect. And I love talking about those things as well. And we share another thing. When I was preparing for today's interview, I saw in your bio that you dropped out of high school.
I did, and I did not know that you did, but
Yeah, yeah,
yes, I
yeah.
did.
I was 17. I think you were 18. But the school system is a little bit different, I guess, between Europe and US. But that was my third out of four high school years before you then go to university when I dropped out and started my entrepreneurial journey. And here I am, 20, what, 6 years later? Shit, I'm old.
It just goes to show you we don't have to do it the entire traditional way that we've been taught and believe we have to do. So that's a little bit of a pun of the ungraduation process for me too. The irony that I am a high school dropout as well too, like you.
Yeah. Well, Ken, uh, what's your why?
My purpose, my why, my reason for being, outside of course, taking care of me and my wife to the best of our ability. We don't have any children by choice, but my why is to help people really empower themselves and begin to realize that mindset really is everything in life. I have a mantra, if you will, that life isn't actually in your hands. It truly is all in your head, and how you frame up your worldview, how you look at life. It's been a lot of cliches out there with glass half full or glass half empty in terms of optimism and pessimism. But really, it does make a massive difference in terms of wealth, happiness, success, joy, purpose, whatever it is that motivates you in life. Your mindset is creating your reality one day at a time. So my purpose is to try to help people dive in and lean into that empowering ability and remove any indoctrinations or outdated belief systems that society or schooling or friends or family or jobs or even themselves are placing upon them with limitations. I want to help people break through limitations that are based off of mindset.
Okay. Well, Ken, um, I know that when people talk about mindset, especially for business, for entrepreneurs, very often people look at it as another woo-woo thing, go meditate and, wish it and everything will happen, and so on. I absolutely agree with you that mindset is a whole lot, maybe not everything, but it's a very, very, very important ingredient. So if we stay on mindset a little bit, um, what are the most common things that you saw with yourself, maybe that you see with people that you're now working with, maybe especially people who are entrepreneurs? What are they lacking? How are they struggling?
Well, there's a lot of different things that go into that question. It's a great question. And I would say that where most people struggle is that they listen to a lot of other people in terms of what they should or shouldn't do. And I believe in empowerment through finding out your own way to find your way in work or in your career, and really find ways to empower yourself forward. Everything is not put into a very neat box in terms of how we progress in life. So when it comes to business, for example, I can tell you that one of the biggest limitations that I faced coming from a less abundant family was, how can I deserve to get more money? How is it that I should be able to persevere, make a living for myself whenever I've never known really what wealth was? And that abundance mindset is something that I talk a lot about too. And really the mental chatter that goes on inside our heads. And you mentioned that woo woo or metaphysical aspect. I think that's a piece of it. I do believe that that is a part of how mindset works in terms of like attracts like, but it does come down to your mindset is going to create the behaviors that carry you through your life every single day. And the actions that you take because of your mindset are what further validates either your action or inaction. I'll give you one example. So if you're trying to lose weight, for example, if you have a mindset that you're unhealthy, you're not in shape, you're not physically fit, subconsciously and unconsciously, your body and your mind find ways to keep that program running. You find more ways to make excuses for yourself in why you should live an unhealthy life, because that's where you think you're operating. So it really is analyzing the self-talk and the self-critic that we all have in our minds, whether it's business or personal. So I think it's that self-talk that a lot of people have that causes so many limitations in life. And it happens on autopilot. That's the scary part about it.
Well, Ken, how about when you feel that you feel like a teenager, full of energy, like everything is just bursting around you, and then and then you use that excuse to not lose a few more pounds because you just feel so good and healthy and everything. Is that part of the mindset as well?
I think it is. And to that example, and I've lived this, I was just like that young teenager. I was thin and in shape for most of my life. And then as I got married and grew into my 20s, late 20s and 30s, I had that belief, and the people around me, I was seeing it reinforced by their actions, that, hey, as you get older, you get married, you just put on a few pounds. That's called life. That's the way that it is. And what we don't realize is that, yes, the people that we surround ourselves with, it's been said that we're absolutely overall the summation of the 5 people or so that we average our time around. I think Jim Rohn said that, and it's widely known that that's the case. But the bottom line here is that the reinforcements that we will continue to take and act from the beliefs that we've been told for a long time. Obviously, people are finding ways to redefine that. It comes with age too. And it's very nice as you get older to say that 40 is the new 20 or 50 is the new 30. But there is truth in science and facts about what's called epigenetics and neuroplasticity in terms of the choices that we make that literally change our bodies and minds one day at a time. And that's a problem for a lot of this world, is that we're very much need it now society, and we don't see these changes take place every day because they happen over time. And then we fall back into old habits or old beliefs, and often with what we see around us. So it is about redefining what normal is and creating a new normal for where you want to live your life. It is possible, and people are figuring it out every single day. And my goal is to help them do that at a better rate and clip.
Well, Ken, earlier you mentioned, that whole belief about money and, why should I deserve? What I see a lot is that I'm connecting with a lot of people who want to make positive impact, who want to impact the world, impact the local community, do good, help people, and they often then look at money. Well, I can't charge people. I have to do it, almost for free or for free. um, and so they associate money with bad, not with money is just a tool. And the more money you have, like now, if you're a douchebag, you're probably gonna do a lot of bad stuff. But if you're a good person, you're gonna do a lot of good stuff. Can you drop a few value bombs around, um, because I know that there are a lot of people who are in my connections who struggle with that mindset, and so maybe a little bit of how to's, or some advice would be, I'm sure, greatly appreciated.
Yeah, sure. I can only talk from my own experiences here and the people that I see in my life around me. So I've lived this. I have come from a place of lack and want. I was from a underprivileged family outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, who tried their best. A single divorced mother raising two children, and all I knew was that money was hard to come by. And I also had that belief of money is the root of all evil, which I was given in an indoctrinated kind of way. So naturally, as a growing up kid, I'm thinking, well, I don't want to have too much money because it must make you evil, which it does not. I think you said that clearly. It's a tool. It's a tool that drives the process. The person behind it is what dictates how that tool is used. The fact of the matter is that this world and this reality runs on money. It's not going to change anytime soon. But what you've got to kind of begin to understand is that if you look at it like air, which hopefully there's enough air to go around for everybody, there's enough money to go around for everybody too. So let's go back to what I was saying earlier in terms of your belief and your value system and how you kind of see the world. If you're looking at, I only have enough money to get by. So whether you believe in the woo-woo, metaphysical, like attracts like, or law of attraction aspect, which I tend to believe a lot in, again, I can also prove it in practicality that if you have a belief running subconsciously that you only have enough, it reinforces behaviors that keep you stuck in only enough, whether that's overspending, not investing wisely. We have to start to look at money as that tool that it is, even though it is just a digit on a computer screen these days, and that we have enough of it. And the trick to it, I think, is to become abundant in all ways. Even if you don't have enough money that you would like to have right now, the trick is to absolutely think yourself presently as abundant. And then you begin to start to research things that wealthy people do in terms of investment, in terms of how they created wealth. It helps reinforce a lot of behaviors like tracking your spending and, again, how to better overall invest and make your money work more for you. Coming from a place of a $4.75 an hour minimum wage starting job in 1997 or whatever it was to now being an executive, I don't think I would be at the point that I'm at if I didn't begin to realize money is simply a tool. It's the actions that we take that either create more of it or less of it. And if we are in fear of not having enough, then we also get into problems in terms of money. So I just believe that whenever you get onto the right mindset, you attract more awareness around you. People come into your life that can help you with the process. Maybe you can make better investments. Maybe you just learn how to better use it. It's not a simple science for everybody, but I do believe it comes down to mindset and how you view your life, whether you're through abundance and enough or not. So that is a key trick right there.
Um, Okay, but are there any, is there anything you could suggest what somebody who recognizes this, that that's their pattern, that they don't have that right mindset? How would they start? I mean, the best thing is probably to just find somebody like yourself, to help them, because it's not just one thing that you do and bam, everything changes. It's the consistency. But do you have any suggestions how they could at least start the journey, and start changing their mindset?
Yeah, and I'll tell you that for me, and thanks for going deeper on that, because we do want to talk in practicality. When it comes to mindset, again, I'm going to keep harping on this, is that we are programmed to believe we have to keep up with the Joneses. We have to have all the newest, nicest, coolest gadgets. I learned early in my life, thankfully through my wife, who was a much more systematic, strategic person, that if we don't have the money, we're not buying it. So the first thing that I did in my life was paid off credit card debt. It took a while, but as I amassed some more money throughout my promotions and little bonuses here or there, it's very tempting to, okay, time for a new TV, or okay, time for a new phone or a bigger car, better car. I faced some of those challenges early on in my life. And I'm proud to say that probably by around the age of early 30s, I was almost debt free totally, excluding my home mortgage, which now could be paid off tomorrow if I wanted it to be. But it came down to literally not spending the money on things that I didn't need, that I wanted. And it's tough because society tells us that we want to have all these things and we should have all these things. Now, I'm a believer in live your life well, but we are so caught up in the rat race and all these companies who constantly market to us incessantly that we get stuck in that modality too. So again, I'm all for have nice things, but start with your daily, monthly budgeting and balancing towards what you're bringing in. And if you don't have enough coming out, don't spend it. Wait until you make more money. And even whenever you make more money, don't always upgrade. We were talking before recording how cell phones and Apple watches and all this technology, it's in our face 24/7. And we're so tempted to always overinvest and over splurge and spend. If we can get out of the mindset of we have to keep up with the Joneses and what our neighbors have and always comparing ourselves to other people, that's probably one of the best practical points. And while I'm not a finance expert, I can say this: stop comparing yourself to others. Live your life for you. Put stuff on a list. Maybe perhaps if you think you want something, put it on a list, wait a week or two, see if that emotion wanes after a week or two. If you really think you need it after a week or two and you have the money to make the purchase. Otherwise, you probably don't need it.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I always wait a few days and really wait for the emotions of the moment. Why, tomorrow is another Apple event, and then gonna show us some new shiny stuff. Well, thankfully, I live in Europe, so it's not like, oh, this is coming to the store near you tomorrow. So we have that privilege that we have to wait anyway. And in those few weeks, yeah, you can approach the whole thing logically and really see what really you need and what you don't need, and just don't buy what you don't need. Although I have to admit, I made probably the stupidest Apple purchase a few weeks ago. The Apple polishing cloth.
I
Um,
do. I
yeah,
do.
it's the stupidest thing, but I mean, it's $20, so it's not like a huge thing. But I was just like, I need to have this.
Well, and again, it's something that I would suggest if you really are strapped. I do think that whenever you begin to make better decisions and those actions back up the behaviors of the mindset for abundance and wealth, as you do generate wealth, more money will keep coming into you and you don't have to be as scarcity with that mindset. So I don't want to contradict myself, but in terms of facing reality for where you stand and identifying what you need to do versus not, in today's society, it's just not easy to break out of that habit. So if you are in a place of scarcity right now, really taking a step back to saying what all do you need and want in life is important, I think.
Yeah. Well, Ken, let's go a little bit further. So I do like, and I'm like that, or I was like that a lot. I'm not like that too much anymore, just with certain things like, losing weight for me. And, one thing is, uh, there's some emotional moment. And then you make this big plan. I'm going to change everything. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. What's hard is consistency, is implementation. So, what you were talking earlier is more like that start of the whole thing. Now, of course, it's always amazing to have somebody beside you, whether that's a spouse or a coach, mentor, accountability buddy, whatever that might be. But let's say you don't have an option to have, like, maybe there's nobody in your circles who can hold you accountable or who can do something with you, and you're just at a place in life where maybe you can't afford a few $1,000s a month coach to help you through that. Are there any good practices from your end, what we can do to hold ourselves accountable, to be consistent, to walk the talk?
Yeah, I think it does come down to habits, and I'll reference one of the many books behind me. You probably can't see it right now, but James Clear's Atomic Habits was one of the best books I read relatively recently. I had learned a lot of those things earlier on in my life, and it was just reaffirmed in his book. But there are so many ways to do and learn today. So we live in this great technologically advanced world where technology can be the best or worst of things, but let's use it for good. Podcasts, audiobooks. There's a lot of free seminars as well too. So if you're not in a situation where you have an accountability partner, you can probably find that online. You can join communities and groups of like-minded individuals where you can find some accountability there. But the habit stacking is what I am talking about here. So I make use of every single minute of my time almost throughout the day to the best of my ability, besides my uncheck and unwind time, which we all need. But while I'm working out, I'm listening to a podcast or listening to an audiobook versus having to listen to just music, which I love music, but why not take advantage of the 45 minutes every morning and learn something about investing or mindset or finance, whatever it is you're trying to seek knowledge on. So use technology. You can find accountability online in community groups and really come together with that like-minded mentality, because people will support you and cheer you on. Then the hardest part is to just look yourself in the mirror and say, where are you failing and what changes do you have to make? So there are, in my opinion, very few excuses these days for learning how to do anything. You just got to go online and find it. And not all of it's very costly. A lot of it's actually free. It just comes down to how badly do you want it? Look yourself in the mirror, start with your own accountability there. And if you can't say you want it badly enough, then your actions are going to reinforce that and back it up.
Okay. So if I get it correctly, what you're saying is that if you find yourself lacking consistency, maybe you have a motivational problem and you don't maybe want it hard enough to stay consistent. And instead of looking at consistency, you should be looking at your why, because everything starts with a why.
That's a beautiful way to tie it all together. Absolutely. Finding your way through your why is another mantra of mine that I use and often have, in terms of doing whatever it takes to get the desired outcome. And we're talking money and finance here, but at the end of 2019, quick sidebar story here, I got up to my heaviest that I had ever been in my life. So I stepped on a scale December 26th of 2019, mind you, all before COVID and all the shutdowns. And I saw, reflecting back, 252 pounds, which for a guy of about 6 foot was never where I lived my life. I was always in that 190-ish range. So I got committed and so fed up with what I saw on the scale, nothing was going to stop me. I cut out fried foods. I cut out sodas. I cut out a lot of sugars, and I committed to a 45-day cardio regimen every single morning without fail, no days off. And here's, I think, where you got to get some understanding, is that once you begin to see the results, it does become addictive. So whether you're talking weight loss or you're talking finances or you're talking personal relationships, if you're measuring, and I think the key is to measure yourself almost daily. In terms of finances, maybe it's weekly or bi-weekly with your paychecks, but I got on a scale every single day whenever I hadn't done that for quite a few years, because I was afraid of what I might see looking back at me from from on top of the scale. Once I faced the accountability that, yes, I was large, a lot larger than what I wanted to be, then the reality sunk in for taking the correct steps. And it's okay if you fall off the bandwagon from time to time. It's just creating the habit through that passion and desire every day. It's going to create a new habit of goodness, to where if you fall off for a day or two, a new bad habit has not yet surfaced. Now, a day or two turns into 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or a week, and then you're formed a new habit. So the whole trick here is to find accountability, whether it's finances, weight loss, whatever it is, on a scheduled basis, and then show up and face the facts. Are you succeeding or are you losing? And what changes do you have to make from that point on?
Okay, yeah, that all makes a whole lot of sense. Well, Ken, we are closing in on the 30-minute. And oh, by the way, something was wrong with LinkedIn. So we are now just on Facebook and YouTube. And I'll just restream this later on or tomorrow on LinkedIn. But I didn't want to stop you in the middle because we are still live on those two platforms. But my question, so who should reach out to you? Who is, let's say, that ideal person or avatar that you love connecting to and you can help the most? And what's the best way for them to reach out to you? Is it here on LinkedIn? Is it through a website, some other social media? What's the best way to find you, and who should connect with you?
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity to share that. So, I want to have anybody who's interested reach out and talk. I am going to be mostly working with executives and entrepreneurs, people in the business leadership space, whatever business it is. If you're leading people and you find yourself wanting to be better personally and professionally, and you maybe feel like you're on the cusp, but there's a few things holding you back that you just can't seem to kick and get past. I want to help those people who lead others make life impact in their own lives, which of course carries over to the people that they lead as well too. So specifically, being an executive myself and being in the corporate space for 25 plus years and now getting into the entrepreneur space, it's where my niche is, it's where my niche is, if you will. But anybody who's interested in talking about mindset and how it can better your life and how powerful the mind really is, I want to talk to you. Feel free to reach out. And the best place to reach me is at ungraduated.com. That's the website that has everything on my coaching and mindset space that will be able to branch you into the podcast, which is free content that I have, Ungraduated Living and Learning. You can check out the book that just came out on Amazon. #1 new release last week within its category. So I was pretty proud of that.
Woof, woof.
And the launch team. So Ungraduated, the book is out. But yeah, I have the podcast free. The book is out. And the website is there for more information on how to contact me, my email, and everything is on ungraduated.com.
Perfect. Well, since this interview, well, more like a chat, is not scripted, it's unscripted, and I ask what comes to my mind, but sometimes, I fail at asking something that maybe you would consider very important for the audience to hear. So that's why I have the magical last golden nugget of wisdom, where I just give you the floor, and whatever last piece of advice, or if you want to just reiterate something that's important or something we haven't talked about, the floor is absolutely just yours.
Well, thank you. And yeah, if I could summarize everything that we talked about in this half an hour or so time frame, I would challenge the listener, whatever time or place that you find yourself and you hear this, whose story are you living? Are you living your own story written by you with your own beliefs, or are you living somebody else's story and they've told you what you believe to be true? I always say that truth comes through experience. So what truths are you really living that you yourself have experienced in your life, especially when it comes to mindset and belief? So are you living somebody else's story, or are you living your own story, is a big thought that I would try to challenge people with, because there's a lot of different ways to go with that question. But begin with that one there in terms of what story are you living? Is it yours or somebody else's? And then really question those beliefs. Are they validated beliefs, or are they theory? Or are they just somebody else's fiction that you think is reality that you're living? And you may be getting hindered or shackled and held back from truly living a more free and empowering life. Because I can assure you this, through my own experience, I've seen both sides. And my goal is to help people find out how to live more empowered and get out of those shackles of mediocrity, or even far worse. So I do hope people, hey, if not me, do your own research and check out more learning. There's a lot of good information online. I'd love to help and be a part of that. But by all means, that's my takeaway. Just ask yourself, whose story are you living, yours or someone else's?
Perfect, beautiful ending to a lovely chat, Ken. I'm really, really happy that we did this. This whole series is coming to an end in a few weeks' time, because I think I covered like every freaking topic I can think about. And this was a really, really beautiful one, because it's very close to my heart. So thank you for being an amazing guest. Thank you for sharing everything you shared. I truly appreciate you, not just to be my guest, but I appreciate you as a human being. I love what you do, and I wish you nothing but just all the best in the coming days and weeks and years, in this new endeavor away from the corporate world. And yeah, just all the best on your journey. Thank you for being my guest.
Thanks, me. That pleasure was mine.
Take care. Bye bye. Well, ladies and gentlemen, so this was Ken. Um, yeah, I mean, I had the privilege to talk to him once before, and then a few minutes before the start of this interview, and he's just amazing, warm soul. I mean, it's so lovely to talk to him, and also he has this huge experience behind him, and if at any point in this interview you thought to yourself, maybe that's something I need to work on, like Ken said, reach out to him. He will be happy to talk to you. And I'm sure if you choose Ken and work with him, your life will definitely change for better. That's it for today. There's a whole lot of craziness going on in the world, not just Corona. Now we have new stuff happening. So, wherever you are, I do hope that you are well and safe and healthy. And hopefully, I'll see you all again next Monday when we have another interview. Take care, everybody.